Hello everybody! It is so hot! It's too hot to put makeup on and it's way too hot to do anything else than sit by the pool drinking iced tea and reading good books. So I'm not made up and I'm in my beachwear, so it's a little bit like, I'm sorry if I look a little bit, it's just... But the book was so good that I absolutely needed to review it, and the book in question is Illuminae! I'm sorry if there's a bit too much light. I'm not sure how the lighting is going to be. It's a very bright day, very hot day. And so this book was written by Emily Kaufman and Jay Christoph. It was co-written and it's the first book of a series called The Illuminae Files. It is absolutely gorgeous, as you can see. And I really wanted to talk about this book because it has been released for a few months now. It'll be like, I think it's been released since November 2015. And the second book of the series is coming out in a few months, October 2016 I believe. It's called Gemini, and some people have already have the ARC version of the book, and both are already reviewing it, so I thought that I would give you a little review of this one in case you've heard about Gemini and you don't know if you want to start the series or not. Illuminae Files is a very special series in the way it presents itself. It's not a normal narrative, and the story itself is told through, I don't know if you can really see, but through files and transcripts and much more like this. Like you have this, you might not see very well, but this is conversations that you have by IM and all this kind of thing. So it's really specific. It's not told as a normal story, and therefore it's very original and creative. It's really nice to have this because it's much more, it's very exciting when you get into a book, and it's even more exciting when it's a book that is so original and that surprises you at every turn of the page because you're not used to this kind of format. And I find it very, very likable. I really liked the book. To give you a little idea of what this is set in the future, it's sci-fi, and it is about Ezra and Katie, who are exes, and basically a huge catastrophe happens and they're sent into space because they don't have much of a home left, and it's about their stories. They're on different ships and things don't go as well as people hoped it would be, and the rescue is very complicated and one thing happens after the other, and so it follows both of their paths while they're separated. And yes, there is romance in it, there's quite a bit of it, but it's also a survival story more than anything else, and it's easy to relate to because even though it's set in a different era and in a different environment, I would say, with it, it's still really concrete problems that we can have some kinds of nowadays. Like there are quite a bit of metaphors about what people are going through right now, and therefore it is very, very interesting. And like I said, the format is absolutely awesome. I really, really enjoyed this book. It's actually quite easy to read through, even though it's about 600 pages, because it's not, like I said, it's not normal narrative storytelling, so you go through it a lot faster. So it's kind of an easy read, but I will say that it's a very, very heavy book. It's very sad and very tormenting, and it's a very hard book to get through. I was pleased with everything. I was surprised. I was pleased with almost everything. I was very surprised. I got very into the characters and their stories, and I got to care really quickly about all of the characters, major and recurring, and even minor ones, and the writers do it very well, and you really feel like you're in the story. It's something that really grabs you, so that's really good. I would give it probably 4.5 stars out of 5, and it loses a half star because had it been a standalone I would have liked a different ending. I did not enjoy the ending as much as I thought I would. I was very much disappointed, and I will tell you more in the spoiler review of the spoiler part of this review, which will be at the very end, just like 2 minutes to talk about it, because I wanted to know if you have read the books, if you feel the same way. My boyfriend read the books because I was talking so much about it, and he kind of feels the same way, so if you do, please do tell me. Go check the end of the video and we can talk about it in the comments or on Tumblr or anywhere else you'd like. So yeah, I was disappointed by the end of the book, and I felt it was very clear they were setting the path to the second book. At first when I started reading it, I didn't pay attention to the one and I didn't realize it was a series. My mom got this for me for Christmas after I saw so many Tumblr pictures of it, and I've only read it now, so I went in completely clueless about anything. I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't even know it was sci-fi. I just went in. So yeah, I felt like it was a bit too clear that we're preparing for a second book, and that would be, I think, my main flow for this book, or the main thing that really makes it lose points to me. However, it's still a very beautiful book. It's a wonderful story. It's a very strong story. It's a very empowering story as well, and it's also a very tormenting story. And I think most people that are going to read this book will come out not wiser, but with some kind of knowledge. And I feel that's very important. Like, you read this book and it kind of makes you look at your life and get your priorities straight and think about everything you believe in. And I felt it was very wonderful. It's always great when the book challenges you to discover new things and to think about questions that you wouldn't generally ask yourself. And this book, it asks a lot of questions of you. Every page you turn, it makes you think, what would you do in this situation? What do you believe? What do you want to happen? Would you survive? And I think that's something that I think I love most about books, is when books make you change and make you grow, and this book definitely does this. So if you're into sci-fi and if you don't mind hard books, because once again, if you're somebody that can't read something that is very sad or that is very hard, or if you're a very sensitive person, maybe you might not feel ready quite yet to get this book, because it's one of the strongest books I've ever read, and I've read quite a lot of them, and I think it's one of the ones that has touched me the most and that has grabbed me the most on this kind of thing. Like, it's like, because it's a survival story, it's a lot like reading memoirs of people that have survived terrible things. Even though it's fictional, it feels so real, and it is so well done, and it's so wonderfully tied together that you definitely feel like this could happen, and it gives you a new sense and a new view on the whole book and the characters. And like I said, it's great, but you need to be ready for it. I think you need to be in a certain state of mind when you get into this book. I know that at some moments of my life I would not have been able to pick it up because it would just have been too much, or I would not have been ready to answer all those questions or even to think about it. Sometimes you pick up a book because you want to be entertained, not because you want to be challenged. So that's definitely one of those books where you need to go in knowing that it's gonna move you and that it's gonna check everything up inside of you, and that's fine, but you just need to take a moment when you need to, and take a moment when you feel like it's too much, and just, it's okay to put it down for a while. And if at the contrary this book doesn't do much to you, then good for you. I hope you'll still enjoy the story. I thought it was very well done, and I think it's a very well written story that is very powerful and that carries a great, and although sometimes scary, message. At the end, it's a very hopeful one. So I hope that will get you through the day, and I hope that will get you through the book, and that you will go pick it up and look at it, because I will be very surprised if you were to be disappointed. This is the end of the spoiler-free review. I definitely want you to tell me if you read it, if you liked it. If you haven't read it, will you read it? If you have any questions, please don't hesitate, and you can also go read it and then just come back and tell me in the comments what you thought. And if you agree with me or not, I would love to hear about this. There are many characters, so I can't really tell you who's my favorite one, but I will say that I like James quite a lot, even though he is quite a recurring character. It's hard to say because there's so few of them, you always get attached, but I think maybe James was the one that I loved the most while reading the book. So there you go. Now, spoilers. If you haven't read the book, if you're looking to read the book, even if you're not sure you're gonna read it, you probably want to close the video now, because it wouldn't be a good idea. I'm just gonna explain quickly what I mean when I say that I didn't like the end, and that's for people that have read it and that don't feel the same way. So here it goes. If you haven't read it, please close. So I'm disappointed in the end of the story, mostly because Ezra survived. And that's not something I wanted. Like, I had made my peace with it, and I thought it was a good sacrifice, and it was a driving emotion for Katie during her last, her last hours. She had lost everything, and still she fought. And I thought that was the human, like, the beauty of humanity. Even when everything is lost, you keep going. And I think that's so beautiful and heart-wrenching. And I was kind of disappointed that Ezra was back. Even though I understand that they're setting up for the next book, and with Leanne, she needs to have Ezra, to connect them, and it adds drama and all that. So on this point of view, I understand. But as a reader, I think Ezra dying would have probably... It made me really sad, but I had made peace with it by the end of the book. And it was just, it was just war, and it was life, and it was the beauty of Katie just fighting on. And even though everything is gone, and everybody has died, and she's gonna die too, and she's making this huge sacrifice, there's still something to hold on and something to fight for. And I was kind of disappointed that was sort of taken away. It doesn't take away the meaning behind it, and doesn't take away the fact that Katie did believe everything was lost. So I don't think it takes away from her sacrifice or anything. It just feels a little bit easy, I guess, just, okay, she's done it, now let's get back Ezra in, because we have a second book to do. So that kind of bothered me. But the reader in me, not the reviewer, writer, or anything else, the reader in me was so pleased to see them happy together. And it's so very excited for what is to come next. So do tell me what you thought, if you felt the same way or not. I will say that this has made me feel every emotion that I can possibly think of, and that therefore I really loved the book. And like I say, James was probably my favorite one, even though you would think you don't have that much time to get attached to him, but I really did. So do tell me if you like James, who you like best. Of course, I love Katie, she is so strong, even though she's not somebody I can relate to on a lot of points. Like, she's not really much like me. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I completely relate to her, but I do love Katie, and I do love Zhang also. So go ahead, tell me what you thought. Thank you very much for watching the video. I'll see you very soon, hopefully for a review of House of Silk by Anthony Horowitz, which I'm finishing right now. And please don't hesitate to comment, like, and subscribe. Goodbye.